What is the world made of? Spoiler alert, it's not just made of pizzas and cokes. It's made of particles. Yes, everything made of these tiny particles that you can even see. Now, what are these particles exactly? Are the particles made of pizzas and cokes? I hope so, but nah. So, the smallest ones that we can't break down any further chemically are called atoms. In some substances, the particles are just single atoms. Yep, single. Take air for example. It's got this only argon atoms just hanging out alone, working at the oxygen couples nearby. Oopsie. But in many substances, the particles are a bit more social. They consist of two or more atoms joined together, and we call these particles molecules. For example, water is a molecule with two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom. Then you got oxygen gas, two oxygen atoms just hanging out. Who knows, they aren't planning something big. A molecule is simply a particle with multiple atoms, no matter whether they are the same atom or not. So, with two oxygen atoms chilling out is named molecules. Now, argon and oxygen are pure element because they're made of one type of atoms only. Substances made of one type of atom is called an element. But water, it is made of two types of atoms, oxygen atoms and hydrogen molecules. So, it gets a fancy title called compound. Like a band, you need different instruments to make great music. Let's throw some examples into your brain. How about O2? One particle of oxygen gas is made of two atoms, so it's a molecule. There's only one type of atom, so O2 is a pure element. It consists of only one type of atom, which is oxygen. Imagine oxygen gas as a squad of oxygen molecules. Now, what about CO2 here? Each particle of CO2 has three atoms, two oxygen atoms and one carbon atom. So it's a molecule, but with two types of atoms, it's not a pure element. It's a compound. What about this helium that just floated by? Helium is just a single helium atom per particle. And since helium is just one type of atom, so it's a pure element, like that one old friend O2 who's perfectly happy in there. But helium is a single atom, while a particle of oxygen gas is made of two oxygen atoms. So that's why a particle of helium is called an atom, but a particle of oxygen is called a molecule. Now let's talk about compounds. Compounds often behave completely different than the elements they're made of. You put together an explosive metal and a toxic gas, and of course you get an even more explosive table salt. You get table salt. Sodium chloride is table salt. Now, sodium chloride and water are both compounds since they're made of different types of atoms. But there's two types of compounds, ionic compound and molecular compounds. Molecular compounds can also be called covalent compound. A quick way to tell is that ionic compounds are composed of metals and non-metals. Covalent compounds are usually composed of non-metals. Sodium is a metal, chlorine is a non-metal. Hydrogen and oxygen are both non-metal, so water is considered as a molecular compound. Sodium chloride, on the other hand, is considered as an ionic compound. In an ionic compound, the electrons are not shared. There's a transfer of electrons. Sodium gives one of its electrons to chlorine, and sodium becomes cation, and the chlorine becomes an anion. So, ionic compound is composed of positive and negative charges. While in molecular compounds, the atoms share electrons, not transfer. Now, there are exceptions like ammonium chloride, which is NH4Cl. Nitrogen is a non-metal, hydrogen and chlorine are also non-metals. So you might think that this is a molecular compound, but it's composed of ions. Ammonium has a net positive charge and chloride ion contains a negative charge, so it is considered as an ionic compound. Alright, let's talk about ions. In some substances, the particles are atoms or groups of atoms that carry a charge, either positive or negative. These particles are called ions. A great example is a potassium atom. This little dude had an atomic number of 19 and a mass number of 39. The number below, the smaller number you see, is the atomic number. And it is always equal to the proton number, so potassium has 19 protons. Both potassium and its ion form have 19 protons, but wait, there's more. The mass number minus the number of protons gives you the number of the neutrons. So both versions have 20 neutrons, like the twining. Now, here's where it gets spicy. In an electrically neutral atom, the number of electrons is going to be the same as the number of protons. So 19 electrons for potassium. But its ion form, it only has 18 electrons. Why? Because it gives one away like a true charge. That's why it's a positive ion or a cation. Because fewer electrons mean more positive vibes. You can understand like this. So since there's 19 protons, so there must be only 18 electrons since it has a single positive charge. Positive ions are called cations. They're like the popular kids. They got more protons than electrons, whilst negative ions are anions, are the rebels with more electrons than protons. It's a whole high school drama, but with subatomic particles.